apple juice. It is apple flavored beer. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Possibly?
Yeah.
100? 95. Okay. All right. Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to the Unofficial Throuple podcast. I'm Wade.
I'm Janie.
I'm Erica.
And today we're going to be having our first episode for our true crime series. All right, so let's get started. Today we're going to be talking about the suspicious death, I would say, of Kendrick Johnson. Have you guys ever heard of this case?
No.
I think I have, but I don't know the whole story. Like, I think I've heard his name on social media, but I don't know, like, the story.
Well, this case took place in 2013, so it's about, 13 years old now. Kendrick Johnson is a 17-year-old African-American male. So this case takes place in Valdosta, Georgia, and it is at Lowndes High School. So on January 10th in 2013, Kendrick Johnson, it's a normal day of school. He attended. Everything was fine. But he did tell his mom that he was going to be attending a basketball game after school, so he was going to be a little bit later than usual when he got home. So a couple hours passed. He still hasn't came home, and his mom starts getting a little bit worried. She tries calling him and everything, and he's not answering. Eventually, 10 p.m. rolls around, 11, midnight pops around. Yeah, so at this point, she called the police, and she filed the report, and Kendrick is a 17-year-old teenager. So, of course, police started telling her he's a teenager. Maybe he's out with some friends. Maybe he met a girl. He's with her. Maybe he ran away. Like, with teenagers, if they go missing, that's usually what the police would tell the families. But, of course, parents do know their kids a little bit better. So she's, of course, saying, that's not my kid. They know, once 10 p.m. hits, they need to be in the house. Mm-hmm. So once that police report was filed, the next morning, Kendrick's mom goes to the school, and she's trying to figure out, okay, maybe if he didn't come home last night because he missed curfew and he was actually with friends or something like that, then maybe he attended school the next day. So he's going to be at school. She's going to see him. Everything's going to be fine. He might be grounded or whatever, but that's her train of thought when she went to the school. Mm-hmm. When she went to the school had told her that the day before, which was on January 10th, he did not go to his third or fourth period. Yes. So the way his school was, they had I think schools here, they call it A day, B day. So they have 4 classes one day, 4 classes the next. So he only went to the first 2, and then I believe 1:30 is the last time that he was seen.
Oh, so he missed half the day.
Yeah, he missed a whole half the day. And I guess, I don't know if it's just the school, but I know here, if kids don't go to school, the parent gets a phone call. Mm-hmm. Even if they miss one period. I know that's how it was whenever I was in high school. So mom didn't know until she went the next morning that he wasn't in his last 2 classes.
Okay.
So while she's at the school, same morning, January 11th, there were a group of students, and they were in what the school called the old gym. Mm-hmm. So how our high school was, we had 3 different gyms, I think.
Yeah, the gym outside, the main gym inside, mm-hmm. and then.
So they had their main gym, which was the new gym, and then the old gym.
Okay. So
in the old gym, it kind of was storage for some equipment. It wasn't the whole gym, but it was kind of around the walls. So there were rolled up mats, what the wrestling team would use, or cheerleaders if they were doing tumbling. It was those, and they were really big. If they were fully rolled up, they were about 6 feet in height and about 3 feet wide. The students who were in the old gym, there's a group of them. They saw something sticking out from the top, and it was something that was white. They decided to get a little bit closer. I think I saw somewhere that one of them had stepped on some benches that were on the side of the mm-hmm. mats. And when they looked, they noticed that it was a sock, a white sock, and it had something in it. And they were I think it's a foot. So they're not too sure, and they can't tilt it over. So they go get a teacher. The teacher was able to tilt the mat over.
Wait, so the mat was standing up?
Yeah, it was standing up.
Okay.
His
Yeah.
foot sticking out. His foot
His
out
foot
the top.
sticking out of the top. Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. So when the teacher tilted the mat over, it was now laying in like a horizontal position.
Mm-hmm.
They decided not to mess with it anymore because they saw a body inside the rolled up mat. And they weren't at that, like when they first seen it, of course they're like, okay, maybe this person's just unconscious. Right. They got stuck. But then the smell hit them of like decomposition. And obviously, like, I've never smelled it.
And this is how long after he went missing?
This would be the next day.
When his
assuming
so about a day
was
later.
his mom still there when?
So this is all happening around the same time from what I read.
Okay.
Yeah. So when it tilts over, there's like a smell coming up, and from like all the other like true crime podcasts and like documentaries that I watched, there's always people who say like once you smell decomposition, it's like a really hard smell to forget. So it just smells like really bad. I think I've seen people say that it smells like throw up, or just like that's like been there for a while, like stuff like that. So they don't mess with it anymore. They end up calling the police because they're like, hey, like there's a body here in the high school in the old gym. Police are called, they show up, and they pull from what there's a couple different reports, but from what mostly what I read was that they pulled the body halfway out of the mat to see like the top half, and they kind of identified the body as Kendrick Johnson, but like the parents or nobody had identified it positively at that time, but they pretty much said like that was him. So that's how he was found. Mom's still in the school. They weren't notified until a couple hours later. I think all they told her was that he was found, but they didn't say like
how
where,
he was found.
How, yeah. They didn't really say too much.
I wonder if she thought that he was alive. Like at that point,
I don't know. I couldn't really find anything on exactly what the family was told. Yeah. But yeah, so when they unrolled the mat and like they could see his full body, the way he was found, he had his left arm above his head, kind of like this. No, his right arm was above his head like this, and then his left arm was kind of like down like this. So it looks like he could have been like reaching for something or something like that. But that's how he was found whenever they unrolled the mat. And usually with like bodies that are found, you know, they tape off everywhere, they do all of that, and they, you know, it takes a while before they come out and say, you know, if it was a homicide, if it was an accident or anything like that. It wasn't that much long later, that same day, when the police came out and they ruled it an accident, basically. Yeah, and that was, I believe it was before any kind of like autopsy or anything was done.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So inside the mat, the way the mat was positioned when his body was in it is if like his head, whenever it was vertical, his head would be closer to the floor and his feet were on top. Whenever they tilted it over, yeah, so he was upside down.
Oh my gosh.
So when they tilted it over and they saw like his legs first, because his head was closer to the wall when they tilted it over, there's a pair of shoes that was like by his legs, not on his feet, but just like placed by his legs. And the way like people described it was like it was as if the shoes were thrown in the mat after his body was put in there, or after it like he ended up in there.
Basically to hide them, get rid of them.
Yeah, and that's what a lot of people were saying. We're like, okay, if that's kind of like how it was positioned, like, what happened? Yeah, you know,
how's it an accident then?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it's like a lot of stuff, and so, and also like at the bottom of the mat where his head was, there was like a pool of like liquid and blood, because whenever you die, basically all your blood, since there's no more circulation, it kind of pulls at the lowest point of gravity in your body.
At his head, at that point.
So since he was upside down and that's how he died, all the blood rushed to his head, which even...
And there's a lot of holes in your head for it to fall out of.
Yeah, and that like liquid or anything has nowhere to go, so it'll just start coming out of where it can get out of. So
was it coming out of pores and stuff like that, or just
nose, maybe?
just holes?
It was just like the whole. I think mainly I read that it was like his eyes and his nose for the most part, and his mouth. I want to say.
Yeah.
But yeah. So there was like a little small pool of blood. It wasn't like too big. It wasn't too much, but whenever they saw that there was another shoe that was on top of that puddle. Now, I'm saying on top because when they found the puddle, the shoe that was on top didn't have any drops of anything on it. There was no kind of liquid, no blood, nothing on it, but it was on top of the puddle right under where Kendrick's head was.
So kind of like the mat was like, I guess, no. I was going to say the mat was like rolled over the shoe, but no, if there's no, because then the fluid would have dropped onto the shoe. So then that should have been placed after the liquid was there.
Exactly. And that main thing right there is a main like evidence that people were like, there's no way that this was an accident, because the way the shoe didn't have like any nothing on it, it was like it was placed after the puddle was made, basically.
And then for him to be upside down, I don't get how, like, he didn't, I guess, jump on the bench and then go into the mat.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking when I was reading it, because I was like, those mats, like, I think we used to have them in the gym in like middle school and high school, and like they weren't that sturdy. Like if something went on top of it, it was gonna tilt over. And
also, if he's upside down, it's not like he got in it, rolled up, and then flipped himself upside down against the wall.
Yeah. So, and with that too, like if he did like climb on top, he was a 5'10". He weighed, I think it was like 160, 170 pounds. So those would have tilted very easily.
Yeah.
And then some more evidence that was found. I only saw one report of this, but there was apparently a shoe, just one shoe on its own that was like kind of under the bleachers, and it had blood drops on them. But apparently nobody took it for evidence.
So how many shoes are there? Because they said there were ones that had been thrown in. There's one under his head and one under the bleacher. So is that 4 in total?
Yeah, so there's one pair that was found with his body by his legs. There was one shoe that was found basically under his body as it was upside down. And then there was another shoe that was found like a little bit further away, not that much further, but it was like next to the mats, kind of. Yeah. And it was the match for the one that was under his body. Like it's the same shoe.
Yeah. But and then that's the one that had like body fluid on it. Whether it was
the one that was under his head. That was found like right under his head.
That one had no fluid on it. The one under the bleacher had blood on it though, right?
That's a different shoe. So I already said two pairs technically were found, but one of them was found separate.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And then there was another shoe. Oh. Yeah, that was found under the bleacher that had blood drops on it.
So there's 5.
Yes, there's 5 shoes total. The one that was found under the bleacher is the one that had blood drops on it. Okay. But again, there's only one report, and it said that they didn't take it for evidence. Nobody tested it for anything. Nobody swabbed it. Like so nothing happened with
that shoe pretty much just swept up in the wind.
So
pretty much.
So from the beginning, the police botched this.
Oh yeah, that's not even like half of it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, because they also found other traces of blood that apparently were tested, but it wasn't positive for Kendrick. But they also didn't bother to test to see if it was anybody else's blood. So like that was just like, which given it could have been like gym class, people get hurt all the time in gym class, but like in a situation like this, you should still test what you find. Yeah. Like, especially if it's very visible there, But yeah. So with the whole scene as well, they did not close off the area. Like there was no caution tape, nothing. Not everybody, but like the investigators were walking around everywhere with no shoe covers. So they were bringing in things from outside of the scene, and they were taking things out of the scene. Like possibly they were, because they didn't take the necessary precautions that they should have for an actual crime scene. Yeah.
I know there's a lot of forensic scientists out there just mad about that.
Right. Yeah. Like I only took one class of like forensic science, and I was like,
you were heated.
Yeah.
I've never taken forensic. I'm heated.
I'm
like, what do you mean you walked in with no shoe coverings? You walked out with evidence, you know?
And then since they didn't close it off, I'm pretty sure a whole bunch of people were just walking in and out of the gym.
Were there kids in there at all, or is it just mostly the police officers?
Whenever the body was found, it was police officers only. Because I mean, like, they were making sure to keep people out, but like the investigators who were going in and out weren't taking the precautions that they should have.
Okay.
Yeah. And then
is this a small town?
I think so. Okay. I didn't really look too much at the town.
Not insinuating small town police departments are all bad. It's just like some of them, some of the stories
they don't have like most of them the proper training to handle like maybe a case like this.
Yeah,
which it's not an excuse.
It's not, but yeah. And then like I said, like with the shoe that had the blood drops on it, they didn't take that into evidence. They didn't take a lot of things into evidence that should have been taken.
Yeah.
So they really like dropped the ball really bad on this one. And then a couple months later, there was some emergency personnel that came out with reports that said that they had actually told officers themselves that the gym should be closed off as a homicide based off of what they saw whenever they went in. I think it was some paramedics, I want to say, and they were thinking like, yeah, there's foul play here. You need to cut it off to everybody.
Do you think probably the reason they didn't take precautions is because they thought it was just an accident, so it didn't matter?
That's what a lot of people say, or like a lot of reports are saying, because of how quick they were to just roll it as an accident.
Yeah. And then they're just all over everything.
Yeah. And then so in this high school there are cameras in the school.
Oh, good.
Yeah. The gym itself, from what I saw, had 4 cameras. There is CCTV footage of Kendrick going into the gym and walking through it until he like exits the frame, and then you don't really see him anymore, and that's the last time he was seen, pretty much, going into that old gym.
Okay.
So with the cameras, the footage that was turned over to the police wasn't given to them until like I think it was like a couple days or maybe like a week or 2 later, because they didn't request it the way that they were supposed to.
Okay.
Yeah. So
once again, we botched another thing.
Yes, because also like different places, some cameras they keep the recordings for a little bit. Some places they keep it for like a week and then it deletes.
Yeah.
But whenever
all of this, I like in my head, the having taken some law classes, I'm like, is thinking, oh, you've already botched your initial part of the investigation. A defense attorney for anybody could run your case out of court over all of that. That's like crazy.
Yeah. So also, whenever the camera footage was turned over to the police, there were missing chunks of videos. So there was videos still from that day around that time, but the cameras, like, they vary in different times, but some of them cut off, or not some of them, all 4 of them cut off sometime between like 11 and like 12:20, and then they don't come back on until about like 1:10 to 1:20.
Which would have been at that half point of the day when he went missing.
Yes, but he was seen at 1:30 on camera.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So a lot of people were like, so okay, what was cut off?
We're not seeing what happened before he got to the gym.
So there's saying like, we don't know who went in there before him. We don't know how long these people were in there. Like, you don't know anything really. So yeah, and then the police officers, they kind of gave a lot of freedom, I guess you could say, to the school for turning over that camera footage, because they didn't like make a request for how much time they needed to turn over, like what days they needed to turn over, any of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they didn't like list out this day, these times.
So they basically allowed them to turn over whatever they thought was important, and it just happens to be
just like those little few seconds.
Yeah.
That's insane to think about, because I mean I could imagine a police department that's like not telling you we want this specifically.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people were saying. That's why they're like, well, why did y'all wait so long? Why didn't you make like a formal request for this and that? And also with the camera footage, Kendrick's family in this case, they're very, very big advocates for, trying to figure out what happened to him and just continuing that. But I did see a report that his mom or his parents, they also wanted the camera footage and they weren't able to get it until they went um through like different channels basically. And there was like a lot of backlash on that, only because like for one, the public is like, okay, this is a family trying to figure out what happened to their son.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't y'all showing them the cameras?
Right.
On the flip side of that, there's also I think it's like FERPA. You can't release the footage from the school because they're minors.
Yeah.
Yeah, and until you
Yeah.
go through the proper channels, like doing like
You
the
have to get
police
like
report
you
and
have to get a
everything.
court order,
Yeah,
don't you?
yeah. So there was like a lot of things with that. But so that's basically how the body was found, who found it, and kind of like the initial investigation that was done.
Shoddy investigative
Question.
work.
Mhm.
In the CCTV footage, can you see the mats like at all?
You can, but like in the footage, some of the cameras are very, very blurry and grainy.
Okay.
Like, first of all, 2013 security cameras were not great.
Uh-huh.
But there's one in particular where
And there's no telling how old those cameras were
Yeah,
prior to
yeah.
that.
There's one in particular that's extremely blurry, and it's the one that's in the gym. That's like it's kind of
okay.
like if it was like in a corner, and then it kind of shows like that way. So you have like a really big view, but it's like very, very blurry to where like the people in the back kind of blend into the background and stuff.
It's almost like they don't
Okay.
have it focused or
I'm
anything.
gonna
It's
try
probably
and
just
like
old.
put up pictures that way they can
Yeah,
see in
I
like
guess,
videos.
yeah.
Um,
There's a lot. Yeah.
That way they can see like it popping up on screen.
Is any okay? So you see him go into the gym. Do they see anybody else go into the gym
So there's people in and out of the gym
all day? So,
all day.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
because like whenever the CCTV footage that shows him in the gym, there's people already in the gym that are playing like a fun game of basketball, like just a
Okay.
regular game like with your friends
Okay.
basically.
So
So there's
the
people in the gym.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then whenever he's going in the gym, there's like a group of people coming out. So it's like people going in and out the whole time.
Just
basically.
constantly.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just like an open space, pretty much. So, the official theory given by the investigators.
Yeah.
So, they're saying with these mats that are in the gym, in the old gym, a lot of students would store items in those mats because the school had lockers, but you had to purchase a locker to be able to use it. So you couldn't just like pick a locker and just say like, okay, this is my locker. You had to actually like buy it basically for your use. So he didn't want to do that. He decided to use the mats to store his things. So one of the things that people said that he stored in there were his gym shoes.
Okay.
So with his gym shoes, he would need them for his gym class, which he supposedly had on January 10th. So it was going to be probably, I couldn't find it, but he either was putting the shoes back or he was getting them to go to his next class.
Okay.
Yeah. So before Christmas break, because this case happened, the 10th was, the 9th was the first day they came back from Christmas break. So the 10th would be the second day. Excuse me, I keep burping. I'm sorry. So anyways, so during the Christmas break, the gyms and like the whole building was pretty much cleaned. So when they cleaned the old gym, they picked up the mats that were horizontal, and a lot of the students, they would use the horizontal mats because it was easier to put stuff in and take it right back out because it's like right there, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So they put them right side up, so now they're all mostly vertical. And basically what the theory is that was provided by the investigators was that when Kendrick went to the old gym to get his shoes, he couldn't find them because all the mats are put up vertical.
Like they were flipped.
Yeah. So he had to climb on top of the mats to figure out which one had the shoes. And as he's looking through them, he sees his shoe on the bottom, so he tries to grab it. So they're saying that he's trying to go in from the top of the mats to reach down and grab the shoe. The mats are 6 feet.
But you would think that common sense, I mean, I guess, right? If you're seeing your shoe on the floor, you would think that that person would just flip the mat over and go like get the shoe from the floor, not you
Also,
know
also the mat. My thing is, why would you climb
in the mat.
in the mat and then get stuck and die? Like that doesn't.
That doesn't make, and
Now,
you
granted,
said that
it's probably not supposed to make sense because it's probably wrong.
right,
But this was the initial theory they came out with,
and the
which
thing is,
I'm sorry, but shoddy police work. I'm not shocked. I'm like,
if the mat is like 6 feet and he's 5'10",
Mm-hmm.
so the mat is this much taller than him.
it's not like he's sticking his arm down it to grab the shoe. Just his arm is not 6 feet long.
Yeah, and then also where that mat specifically, like the one that his body was found in, it was like pushed into the corner, and there was other mats on this side of it that were all
Okay.
standing up. And like when I say the corner, I mean like the corner, like there's nothing around it besides those other mats. The benches that were there, they're not like going up super high. It's only like 2 or 3 steps up. So it's like
okay, so
very,
they're
very
small
small.
benches.
Yeah, it's like very, very small, maybe like 2-3 feet tops.
oh
Yeah, so it's easy probably to like step on the benches and then get on the mats, but there were also like I think it was like 4 or 5 mats in between the benches and the mat that his body was found in. Yeah, and like I said, like with body weight on top of those mats, you would think that they would, fall,
like kind of
tilt
fall over.
Yeah. But so that's what they're saying is that he saw the shoe, he tried to reach down under and somehow was able to get in the opening of the mat. Like his body was able to get in the opening of the mat and he just slid down to the point where he got stuck. That's what they're saying.
Okay, but there's other people in the gym. Can he just like scream for help?
And you would think the other people would also be like,
Sorry,
yeah,
I know
saw
you're
him
probably
on
going
top
to
of the
tell us all of
mats.
everything we're
Yeah.
saying right now. I'm like, we're just shredding this on first listen.
Mhm. So yeah, so they're saying that's what happened and that resulted in his death. His cause of death officially was positional asphyxia. So basically, if your body is in a specific position, like it could cut off your airway and you just start getting lack of oxygen, and eventually, like if you stay in that position, you're gonna die because you're not getting any oxygen. So they're saying because the way he went into the mat, he was upside down, his blood's rushing to his head. That already, like, if you ever did like a handstand or something and you stay there too long, or if like you're hanging off the side of your bed,
Yeah.
You get up and you feel dizzy because your blood's all rushing back down. And they're saying he was stuck. He basically wedged his way in there so much that he cut off complete airflow. So there's no air coming in from the top or the bottom. So that's what they're saying is what happened to Kendrick. So there are so many issues with this theory, though, you guys. Besides all of the
as we've discussed,
right,
like
besides like all of the different mess ups that were there for like the gathering of evidence. Firstly, positional asphyxia is so rare. Like
that's a hard thing to accomplish.
it's very, very hard because for one, if you get yourself in a position, you're gonna try to get up out of that position, because you feel like yourself, like you're not breathing right. So there's not that many cases of positional asphyxia actually resulting in death. It's very, very rare. Like most, from what I saw, most pathologists who rule that as a cause of death is usually because there's no other possibility of anything else.
besides that.
Yeah, so it's like, nobody like choked you or anything like that, because if you're getting choked by somebody, like usually it'll break something right here. I can't remember what it's called.
It's your hyoid bone.
Yes, it breaks that. So that's usually how people know, like if somebody was strangled to death.
Wait, your what bone?
Your hyoid bone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, and another way that it was explained is like if a baby, like a small baby, and they put a blanket over their face by accident and it's too small to move it. A lot of babies, that's usually how they like pass away in their sleep, because they can't release that airway to get more air in them. So they eventually like run out of oxygen. Yeah. And then another issue with the theory is that when the investigators are saying this happened with him, going up there and getting stuck, there was a basketball game being played in that same gym, not that far away from the mats.
Right.
Yeah. So the gym's like not very big. It's like, one little small thing could catch your attention. Like, I know if I was in that gym and I'm like seeing at the corner of my eye like a pair of legs up in the air, I'm gonna look and I'm gonna be like,
Or
are
even
you okay?
someone just, how they're describing it is he climbed onto the mats on top of these 6 foot tall mats. I think that would catch my attention too.
Yeah.
Prior to the,
Yeah, because I'd be
guy
like,
crawling
are they
down
gonna
the-
fall? Like,
yeah.
like that's just on my train of thought was. So that was like another big thing about that theory was that, there were no reports of hearing yelling, of hearing like screaming, no signs of struggle, no mats falling over. Like, there was none of that. So that was one part. Another one was the shoe that was found in the puddle. That one is a big one because of the way that it was found. You know how I said with it being on top of the puddle, it wasn't in the puddle. So there's nothing on top of the shoe at all. So we kind of already discussed that part, but that held like a lot of weight for this case.
Did they test any of these shoes for like sweat DNA or anything like that?
They didn't test anything, to be honest.
And I feel like that in itself kind of throws off their theory, because if they're saying that he climbed on top of these mats and then he looked down into the hole of the mat, saw his shoe, you
He
would
would have bled
think,
out onto his shoe.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what a lot of people are saying, because that makes sense. Like, okay, that makes sense. If you're looking down at the shoe and he, starts bleeding, it's gonna go on the shoe.
Right. It's not like it's gonna just avoid the shoe itself.
Yeah,
you know, like,
hey, we're gonna
go around it.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah. And then the last thing that a lot of people were holding on to about this case was that the opening of the mat. So you know how I said it was 3 feet wide? The actual opening of it on top where they said he went in was only 14 inches wide. So it's a little bit over a foot.
And he's about my size. I couldn't get down.
Yeah, and his shoulders are measured to be 19 inches. So there's a 5-inch difference between his shoulders and the opening.
Yeah, so he wouldn't have really even been able to get in the hole. Because
yeah.
those mats don't have any give to them.
Yeah.
Really.
And then, with the way his body was found in the mat with like one arm up, one arm down, they're saying he could have wedged his way somehow like in there. But I feel like, me personally, that would take a lot of struggle.
How are you?
There's no way that mat was going to stay upright.
Yeah.
At all.
And there's no way that nobody was going to see him struggling to do that, And then I know if I was in that situation, I would panic if I felt stuck. And, I'm not going to stay quiet about it.
Like, scream at least, yeah.
Yeah. So all of that was in, like, the first autopsy. They put in there, like, how the body was found, who found the body, everything that was found on the crime scene. And then, like I said, they ruled it an accidental death, basically like a freak accident due to the positional asphyxia. And that was the official cause of death on that first autopsy. The parents paid themselves to have a second autopsy done. So this happened, I believe it was a couple months later. They exhumed his body, and whenever they exhumed his body, the pathologist who did the second autopsy found that Kendrick's organs were missing.
What?
Yeah, like all the organs were missing.
Like taken prior to being stuffed in the mat.
No, this was after the autopsy. The first autopsy, the organs are there. The second autopsy, the organs are gone.
So they
took his organs.
See, that it's like you don't really know what happened, honestly, to the organs, because whenever that second autopsy was done, obviously, like, they have to reopen everything.
Yeah, but
and they found the body stuffed with newspaper in place of the organs.
Is that like a
what
usual
the fuck?
protocol?
I mean, hold on. Yeah, that's not normal.
That's
like,
what.
No,
Okay, that's what I'm trying to figure out.
They used to stuff bodies with newspaper a long time ago. Like, it's not a common practice anymore.
Yeah, no.
Now I think they use I can't remember. I think it's like cotton or something.
Yeah, well, probably the same type of stuff they use when they stuff like animal bodies and stuff,
Possibly.
But and my only thought is, if the police would have taken his organs, or the medical examiner, whoever did his autopsy, pathologist, would have taken his organs, there would have been a paper trail of them being taken, unless they were shoddily taken. So
which at that point, why would you need organs? Because you can't even
because he was dead too long for those organs to be functional, unless you're just doing weird shit with them.
Yeah, I forgot to say his body was reported to have been possibly in that mat for about 21 hours.
So like pretty much what time, do you know what time the CCTV footage was taken at?
It was the last video that he was on was, I believe, 1:30 p.m. on January 10th.
And then the next day they found him when?
I think his body was discovered around 11 a.m.
Yeah.
So he was pretty much...
He was in that gym the whole time. And if somebody had carved his organs out, but he had his organs in the first
autopsy.
His organs were there in the first autopsy, and I read it, and it says everything was like normal, like all the organs. Okay. They test everything.
Okay, I'm gonna shut up and let you tell us about this autopsy. I'm like,
because the second autopsy they found that the organs weren't there, they had to backtrack and figure out when they went missing, basically.
Right.
Because
it had to have been between autopsy and burial.
Yeah. And I couldn't.
Sorry.
You're good.
Was his body already buried at this point?
Yeah, they had to exhume it. Yeah. Because it was months later whenever they did the second autopsy.
Okay.
Well, it would have gone to a funeral home, and a funeral home would have been in charge of getting the body put together. So who took the organs is what I want to know, and why?
So with the second autopsy, no organs were found. Like I said, they had to go back and kind of figure out a timeline in a way. So first autopsy, organs were there. They're all accounted for. They're all recorded as being within like the normal limits or whatever of somebody of that age, and like the way his health was, because he was like very healthy, very athletic. He played more than one sport. I think he did 3 different sports. His favorite was football. Like he was everything, So when they spoke to the funeral home, they're the ones who took claim that they stuffed the body with newspaper. Okay. So
they accepted that, but they didn't.
Wait. And they said that they received the body with no organs. So they're saying they received it from the medical examiner or the pathologist or whoever who did that first autopsy with no organs. However, there are forms that they signed that said that they received the organs and the original clothes that Kendrick was wearing. So they received the body, the organs, and the clothes. That's what the funeral home had signed off on.
So either they did and they took them, or they
didn't.
Or they didn't, but they didn't look.
That's what nobody can figure out, is nobody knows what happened to the organs. I'm telling you guys right now, there's no ending to that part.
You would think that being a funeral home, you would know the paperwork that you're signing, and that would kind of just be protocol to look at the body and look.
Yeah.
Oh, like this is here, this is great, like signature, right? Because it is I guess a legal binding document at that point from a medical advisor or a medical person. So you would think that they would have it down.
You would think,
but
like I said, everything with this case
you got police officers that can't get a crime scene right job. So I'm not surprised that the funeral home in the town signs off on a body with no organs.
So with the organs and the original clothes that he was wearing, both of those things are missing to this day. Yeah, and this was in 2013.
She said that a minute ago. That just hit.
That just hit me.
Yeah. Like I said, there's no like ending to that part at all, like any positive ending.
Well, that's gonna kill me. That's gonna be what I think about. Oh no,
same. Yeah.
Wouldn't you? I mean, I guess I would think that the clothes, shouldn't they have been taken into evidence? Or do they
that's why I said earlier they didn't keep like all the evidence that they had, like including his clothes, including like probably even the mat that he was found in, they don't have a lot of that to retest anything. Like a lot of that, even like circumstantial evidence, they don't have a lot of it to like retest it if something was to come out later. Nobody knows where his original clothes are. Nobody knows where his organs are. Like, and then I couldn't find it's a little confusing because there's also no trail of if the family gave permission for his organs to be harvested or if they wanted them to be put back in the body. But based off of what the second autopsy is, it seems like they were, very upset that the organs weren't there, but nobody also knows if they signed off on having the organs donated to like research or anything. But yeah, but that's all about the organs. There's, like I said, no other information about it. So with the second autopsy, they looked at everything else that they could, like all the body and everything, like the outside. And so with the first autopsy, I said they found no evidence of foul play. They wrote the death an accidental death.
Mm-hmm.
The second one found a blunt force trauma wound to the right side of his neck. And they claimed that this was the actual cause of death, not the positional asphyxia.
Uh-huh.
So they disagreed with that initial finding of the cause of death. Now the parents also got a third autopsy done. They exhumed the body again, and they agreed with the second autopsy's cause of death, which is a blunt force trauma to the right side of the neck.
Mm-hmm.
And the way it was described, it's like very medical terms, like I didn't even write it down, but basically it's if somebody had hit a part of his neck that kind of hit the carotid area and it basically like popped it, like busted it and like broken whatever that was right there.
Why blood pooled so heavily.
Yeah.
Well, I'm using upside down too. But
yeah,
still.
but that's basically what it was. And the way I had listened to like a reviewing of the case basically, and they kind of described it like something that would be like the size of a karate chop, like thin, like that. So
but there was no skin broken.
No, it was I think it was like a bruise that was found on the right side of his neck that was like a couple centimeters.
Okay.
So it was really small. And with that, there are a lot of people who are like, how can something that small do something like that? Like that much damage, yeah. And so they were kind of, confused on that. But with the third autopsy also confirming that, they were like, okay, yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah.
How long after was the third autopsy done?
I want to say it was a couple years later.
Okay,
yeah, and they didn't do a full autopsy. They just amended the second one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I've heard of it in the past. There's certain things that sometimes in an initial autopsy you don't find that you do find later, because when the body starts to decay, it shows signs of different things that you can't see.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's like certain poisons that people can take that are like untraceable.
Potassium.
Put them in the ground for a couple of
potassium. If you inject potassium
Yeah.
under someone's tongue, it's untraceable because it mimics a heart attack.
Yeah.
I did not tell y'all that.
There's not video evidence.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. But I know there's certain poisons that like the tongue will turn blue, but it won't do that until months and months later as the body starts to decay, and then you can look at it, it turns like a blue, purple, black color kind of, and then you can see. But by then, they're usually in the ground, and nobody's usually resuming them to test it again.
I wonder if, because at this point we don't know who took his organs, but I wonder if maybe he was
that
drugged.
organ question is killing me too.
But because I know on that first autopsy, everything they tested came back negative.
Okay, so they did test the organs in the first.
Yeah, they tested the organs. Like on the first autopsy, it lists all the organs, and everything was like within normal limits, within normal whatever.
But at the same time, the first autopsy said it was accidental. So
yeah,
I'm not even trusting that at this point.
But yeah, so that was pretty much like the end of that first part, basically. So nothing else really happened. The parents, of course, were like very big advocates, and they're very, very adamant that Kendrick was murdered, and like it's just a big cover up that the
Right.
school has a hand in, that the superintendent has a hand in, the school district, like everybody. But so about a year later, on January 27th, 2014, CNN got a hold of an email that was sent, I believe, to the police department in Lowndes County. And it was somebody who went to school with Kendrick.
Okay.
So I'm gonna read the email really quick. A lot of the parts are redacted because they're minors and it's their names.
Okay.
So the email says, my best friend was at a party Saturday night with Redacted, and Redacted was upset about something that Redacted had said to her. So her and my best friend started talking, and by the end of the night, Redacted had told my friend everything that the whole nation has been wondering for the past year. She told my friend what really happened to Kendrick Johnson. Redacted said that about a little over a year ago, she had sexual intercourse with Kendrick Johnson while she was dating Redacted. Redacted found out and threatened KJ. KJ's Kendrick Johnson. I don't know if I ever said that.
Okay.
That's his nickname. Yeah. KJ told Redacted to meet him in the old gym after 3rd block and he would have his knife ready. Redacted met KJ and killed him. Redacted had also been heard admitting to killing KJ more than once over the phone. His brother, Redacted, also got drunk at a party on 4th of July and told many people that Redacted killed KJ and that he, Redacted, was tired of keeping it a secret. And that was the email that was sent to, I believe it was the police department.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so
that's how many? 4 redacted?
that's 4 people that they're saying had met KJ in the old gym and they all killed him.
And they all killed him.
Yeah.
Well, not killed him, but killed him for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, allegedly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The 4 students who were named in the email, they were brought in with investigators to basically have an interview with them.
Okay.
And they asked them about the confession, and I think they said some of them had went in front of a grand jury and they were all found not guilty. So there was no evidence, there were alibis given. So it's not clear, like nobody knows like if the person who sent the email, like they were lying or anything like that. And this email was sent anonymously.
So were charges ever brought against them or not at all?
No. So they just did the interview pretty much and then figured out like alibis and everything like that, and then they were like, yeah, they didn't do it basically.
Did they, because they said that in the email it says at one point that Redacted has been heard many times telling people that he killed or
over the phone.
Did they ever find out if that was true? Like, did anyone else
I couldn't
come
find
forward
anything about
to support it?
Yeah, I didn't find anything about that, honestly. The only thing that I found on like the email was that they did, look into it. They questioned the students who were involved in the email, and yeah. And then I did see, I read a report that they had spoke to, I believe it might have been the girlfriend of
like that
the
guy.
person who was mad that she had sex with Kendrick. In that, like her interview that I haven't heard, she said that it wasn't true and that she was not really even friends with Kendrick. Like she knows him, she's seen him around, and she might have him like on social media, but they weren't ever like hanging out or they weren't ever like in the same friend group or anything like that. So that's pretty much the end of the email part.
Did they question the person that sent the email?
I don't know, because they said it was sent anonymously. I don't know if they meant like it was actually sent anonymously or if the person just wanted to be kept anonymous. Yeah. But yeah. So, like I said earlier, the family was advocating a lot for Kendrick. Whenever Kendrick's death was ruled as an accident, the family, they released all of the postmortem pictures of Kendrick. They released them themselves. They're online if you want to find them. If you have a weak stomach, I wouldn't recommend looking at them because they're obviously like they're very, very graphic. Some of them only show like the pictures of the gym. There is a picture of the mat when it's tilted over and you can see his feet. There is a surveillance camera footage that was released. Excuse me. with one of the investigators. They recorded basically like the whole scene walking in from the parking lot. Kendrick's body is still in the gym whenever they do this, so there's nobody else in the gym whenever he's recording everything. He's recording like the whole gym, like where the bleachers are, what else is in the gym, what other kind of equipment there is, and then he gets closer to like where there's one shoe next to like a trash can. He zooms in on where the mat is, where his body's in, on the end of it, where it shows like his legs. So there's like video and pictures of the way his legs are positioned and where the shoes are that were found by his legs. And that video also does show Kendrick's body pulled out from the mat on top from the waist up. So you can't like see his face or anything, but like you see the top half of his body.
Right.
So just like a full warning if you choose to look at the videos, anybody. But I think all that it's on YouTube.
She's not gonna look. I'm
No,
probably gonna look
I'm
because
not
I'm interested because
yeah, there's a lot. There's
not because I'm like morbid, but because
yeah.
I'm like
I mean,
you
want
to
get the picture.
I want to
yeah.
I want to imagine what it is you've been telling me. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay.
There's the picture of the shoe that was found on top of the puddle. And you can see like there's literally nothing on that shoe, and that shoe it's black and white. Most of it's white. So there's nothing
so you
on
would have
it.
seen like even droplets
Yes,
on it.
yes. There's picture of Kendrick's face after they turn his body over, like after they get him out the mat. What other pictures are there? They released a whole bunch of other pictures as well. I know there's one with Kendrick's dad demonstrating that Kendrick wouldn't have been able to fit in that entry. Like his head is in, like it shows the dad's head in the mat. Like he's trying to like put himself in it and he can't because they were about the same size according to his family. But yeah. So they released all these pictures to bring awareness and support to Kendrick's case because they were, like I said, very adamant about it being a murder. It was a cover up. So they were hoping to get more support, to bring more awareness. The main photo that they used was a photo of Kendrick's face, but it's very, very deformed. Like his face is like swollen. It looks smushed at the same time, like in his face. Like if somebody took something like really heavy and just like literally pushed it in his face. Yeah. So that's the main picture that they used for everything. Like they made posters with that picture. They posted it everywhere. And
was this like picture taken like postmortem?
Okay. Yeah, it's postmortem. And this picture did gather a lot of that attention that they were wanting for the case. And they were saying, you know, like, how is his case considered an accident whenever his face was beaten like this? Like, obviously it wasn't an accident. Obviously he was beaten like really, really bad. The only issue with this picture is that it was taken after the first autopsy was done. So with autopsies, whenever they have to look at your brain because it's an organ. When they look at your brain, I read that they cut your skin basically like in the back of your head somewhere, and they lift the skin fully off like your face, and they like flap it down, and then they cut the skull, and then they take the brain out, and then they put the skull back, and then they flip the skin back over. When they flip the skin back over, things shift.
Yeah, because there's nothing there's nothing like holding it together in a way.
Yeah, like your skull's still there, but because it like moved, if they flip it back over, like it's kind of just like laying there now. So it's like, if you kind of think of like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, how he takes off the face and wears them, that's what it's.
Yeah, because like, well, when you die, your muscles stop moving too. So like your muscles, what keeps your face looking
like
eventually
how it is.
Now I have no medical degree, so this may all be bullshit, but my thought is that probably his muscles were stiff.
Yeah.
So there's nothing there to correct
how they were before.
And you also have to remember that with the way his body was found, his face was already kind of swollen because of all the blood and the fluid in his body that pulled into one area.
They probably stretched it.
Yeah. So
and by the time they drained all that blood and flipped it over, it changed it.
And that's
Yeah.
why did it like you say it looks smushed, did it also kind of look deflated in a way? 'Cause
Yeah,
I'm
it
thinking
looks.
the
I
way
don't
I'm
want. I don't want to
imagining
show you
it.
because I have the picture. But I don't want to show you guys.
Can I see the photo?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like I'll look at it.
Give me
I'll
one
look at
second.
it.
And we'll show
I'm
it. We'll
not
show it to.
linking it. No, I'm not
No,
showing
I'm
it
sorry.
anyway.
If you want to watch it or see it, you can
go
look at
search
it.
it up. Yeah.
Yeah, hold on.
I'll try and like post as many pictures to the video as I can, but just pictures like that, just for viewer discretion.
Hold on. I'm trying to find because there's two pictures of his
Viewer
face
discretion is
post-mortem. There's two pictures of his face post-mortem. So I'm trying to find the first one because there's one before the autopsy and one after.
Oh, that way you can see the difference.
So this is before the autopsy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then this one. Is it this one? Yeah. This one is after the autopsy. Yeah. So you can tell like the skin it looks like somebody smushed the face in. Yeah.
Forward, yeah.
God.
Yeah. So that picture, the one after the autopsy is the main one that the family was using to say that he was beaten and stuff like that. Which, I mean, nobody knows if he was or not. But because the family used that picture and it eventually came out that picture was from after the autopsy was done, a lot of people who were supporting the case and everything were very upset because they felt like they were misled on a lot of things.
I can see how that would look, but those, I mean, even the first picture, that's horrible. His face looks still then just deformed.
And I don't think I showed you what he looked like when he was alive.
And I mean, in the second picture, yeah, it does. You can see how they take it off completely. Him. Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, completely different.
Yeah.
Even that first photo looks like he may have been beaten.
Completely.
That's what people were saying too. They were like, either way, it looks like his face was swollen from like something happening.
Well, especially to one side. One side seems like
it
a lot
suffered some sort of trauma.
Other, yeah.
But I'm no pathologist. I don't know. But just on first look.
But yeah. So the family, they filed multiple lawsuits. The first one was filed in July of 2014. It was a wrongful death lawsuit that was against the high school, the superintendent, the principal, and the Board of Education. So this part, it doesn't say, I don't find any report specifically that says if these two brothers on this part are the same two brothers that are mentioned in the email. Like I couldn't find anything that correlates to one or the other, but it's hard to believe that they're two different brothers. Like pair of siblings.
Two sets.
Yeah. But anyways, so this first lawsuit states that Brandon Bell, which is the older brother, had attacked Kendrick many times before, to the point of bullying. And Kendrick's mom did inform the school that he was being bullied by him, and there were no solutions given or consequences given to Brandon Bell.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon also had a younger brother who went to the same school, and his name was Brian. Their dad, Rick Bell, was an FBI agent. So whenever their names were kind of brought into everything, the brothers were claiming that they were friends with Kendrick, and but Kendrick's parents were like, no, like y'all were never his friend.
Right.
Like your older brother bullied him. Like they were very adamant that there was no kind of relationship there.
What do we know their age difference between
each other?
Them and Kendrick?
No, I couldn't find that.
No.
Yeah. But Brandon, whenever he was brought in, he said that he was on his way to a wrestling tournament. The bus left at 12:30 on the 10th. He was cleared because Kendrick was last seen at 1:30.
Okay, so that was like an hour later.
Yeah. And then there was a lot of things happening with this kind of like small timeline because one of the teachers for the wrestling team, they posted an itinerary for the whole day, like leaving the wrestling matches and everything. And online, they posted online, and somebody had found it after Kendrick's death and after like this came out, and they said that Brandon was lying because it said that the wrestling match started at 4. They took it as he left the school at 4, I'm assuming, because because of the way, I guess, like the wording was or something, but it was like officially confirmed that the bus didn't leave till it left at 12:30, like when it was supposed to.
Okay.
Yeah. Give me like 2 seconds because that died.
Sorry, y'all.
Okay, take pause.
Our laptop died.
Pause.
Give me. We're going on a break. Hold on.
All right, we'll be back.
Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay. Yes. What was the last part I said about the brother and the wrestling team, right?
We left off.
Yeah. The brother and the wrestling team, so we pick up from there.
Cool. All right. So, grazie. All right. So Brandon, where we left off, he was on his way to a wrestling match. His bus left at 12:30. The teacher released an itinerary online, and people found it, and it said that the wrestling match started at 4. People thought that they were leaving the school at 4, so they were like, "No, he was at the school when Kendrick was at the school." That was not true. The bus did indeed leave at 12:30, which was a full hour before the last time that Kendrick was seen on camera at the school.
Okay.
Now, the other brother, he was at school, but it was reported that he was on the other side of the building.
Okay.
Now, they did see him on camera. That day, he was wearing a white sweater. And in the camera, he has something on his sleeve, and a lot of people made assumptions that what was on the sleeve was blood. So that became like a whole thing, and they're like, no, he did it. There's something on his jacket. It's blood. Y'all need to test it. They had the jacket, they showed it. It was a logo for whatever brand the sweater was from.
Okay.
So long story short, he was cleared as well. So whenever these two brothers were brought into the investigation initially, it was reported that they were very resistant to cooperate with investigators. And a lot of people were saying, like, okay, if you're KJ's friend, why aren't you cooperating? Why aren't you trying to help and figure out, if you didn't do it, you should be cooperating.
Right, like solving his case.
Yes.
Stuff. Yeah.
So eventually they did start cooperating a little bit more. That's whenever they had like all the wrestling stuff figured out, like all the alibis and everything like that. And there is an interview, I believe they only did one, of them being interviewed by a news outlet.
I'm going to ask my photographer to push in tight on your face.
Okay.
Our viewers can read your expression. Did you have anything to do with the death of Kendrick Johnson?
No. He was like one of my good friends.
Even at the time of his death?
Even at the time of his death.
You know, every word we broadcast of this is going to be scrutinized by the blogosphere, the Twitter sphere, and so on.
Yes, sir. It should be. And I want everybody to know the truth. And I mean, they can ridicule me and they can say whatever they want, but in the end, the truth will prevail. And everybody will find that me and my brother have been innocent and always will be.
And I didn't watch it fully through, but it is also on YouTube. It's about like 4 to 5 minutes long. And I think they interviewed both brothers. So the oldest brother, Brandon, he was set to be receiving a full ride scholarship to Florida State University to play football. He lost that scholarship because of the case. Because it wasn't like certain or not, but people were assuming that the school took that scholarship back because they didn't want any like backlash from the case in case something did come out that he did do it, or just backlash in general, because like with the two brothers being included in that email, with his dad being in the FBI, like there's already so much backlash with that because they were like, your dad knows how to do this and that. He has connections to get rid of things, like,
and like law enforcement.
It was just a lot. Yeah. So that was the first lawsuit. The second lawsuit was in January of 2015, and they were suing for $100 million. In this lawsuit,
What was the outcome of the first lawsuit? They lost?
It was on pause.
Okay, it's on pause.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the second lawsuit was in January 2015, and it was for, I believe, $100 million. In this lawsuit, the parents state that Rick Bell, which is the brother's dad, the FBI agent, ordered his sons to kill Kendrick. So they're saying that everything was a big cover up. Everybody was in on it. It's a whole conspiracy theory, which when you take into account all the evidence, it's not quite that far fetched, but the language that was used was probably not the best way to go about it if it was to be taken seriously the way I was reading everything. Because, like, with the organs going missing, with the camera footage missing, there's just a lot of things that are not like accidental, or it's not like just a coincidence that everything is just gone. But yeah, the lawsuits, they were put on pause basically by Kendrick's mom because the Department of Justice decided to look into the case in June of 2016. So lawsuits, they usually take years to go through, no matter what kind of lawsuit it is, most of the time, like even like anything, So I read that it was called like a stay of evidence or something like that, or it was something along those lines. But basically, it's a pause where anything legal cannot proceed until it's unpaused.
Okay.
Yeah. So with the Department of Justice looking into it, they were the ones who wanted to do that for those two lawsuits, so they could go ahead and investigate everything that they had. Once they were done, they announced that no charges were going to be brought into Kendrick's case after they found no evidence of anything other than the accidental death ruling. So they essentially followed that first autopsy and that ruling and everything.
And when did that come out from the Department of Justice?
I think it was that same year, the year
in 2016.
after. Okay. Yeah. In between like all these lawsuits, like after they were already put on pause, the Johnsons were actually sued for attorney fees and defamation, which kind of saw coming because of all the name dropping that was done in those initial lawsuits, because they were naming like the superintendent, the principal of the school, the whole high school, the FBI agents. I think they tried to um, file a lawsuit against the Georgia Bureau of Investigations as well. But some of those were dismissed because there were like certain entities that they tried suing that were not suable. Like it just what you can't do it. It's not legal or something like that. But yeah, so whenever they got sued, they were sued for, I think it was $875,000 or 850,000. In August of 2017, they ended up paying 200,000 for the attorney fees. Now the family, before like all this was kind of happening with the lawsuits and everything, they were still trying to get a lot of attention for Kendrick's case. So they actually had a protest at the courthouse, and they ended up getting arrested for civil disobedience because they were blocking the entrance of the courthouse. So they weren't letting anybody out. They weren't letting anybody come in. Kendrick's mom was pulled into the courthouse first, and then his dad was pulled into the courthouse next. They were both arrested, and they were charged as well. But the mom was out on bond first. And I saw somewhere that their pastor, somewhere in one of the churches that they went to, he was a really big advocate for them around this time, and he put up his house to get the parents out of jail. Yeah. But he was very, very like on their side until a couple years later, whenever he did make a statement and he was like, if that was a ruling after all of this, then we should just let it be. So he stopped supporting the family a little bit later, or not as supportive as he was, at least.
Of them.
Yeah. Also in 2016, the anonymous group got involved. Like the hackers,
those the guys with like the face,
the face,
yeah,
and they use like the voice edit to do their videos,
like disguise their voice and stuff.
Yeah. So they somehow came across Kendrick's case. They took that to heart, like really, 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 really did. In 2016, they put out a 10-minute video calling out the way the case was handled, The way like the evidence was just like not taken care of properly. The photos of Kendrick and how like it was like he was like beaten, like all of that. They also called out like the way the camera footage was edited, and how no full investigation was done, because in the beginning, you know, they ruled it as an accidental death very, very, very early on.
Right.
Like, I think Kendrick's body might have still been there, like in the place. Um, but yeah, also with the way the investigation wasn't done properly, whenever someone that finds a body or something like that, you know, you call the police, they figure out if they're actually dead or not. They're supposed to call, you know, the coroner or the medical examiner, pathologist, whoever is supposed to come out there right away.
To look at the body, like
Yes,
at the
to
scene
look
of
at
the
the
crime,
body,
right?
and they're supposed to take over the body.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they like that's where they kind of establish time.
Yes,
of
that's where they
death.
establish everything. Like they check like the temperatures of everything. They figure out, you know, like okay, they're this temperature. They must have died so many hours ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's like the timeline and everything. For Kendrick's case, the coroner wasn't called until 6 hours after the police got there. 6 hours, and Georgia has a law that they broke the law doing that basically, because they have a law that basically states if a body is found and it's found in like from dying from an unnatural cause, you are supposed to call the coroner, the medical examiner, whoever, right away. They didn't do that. They didn't call them until 6 hours later.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so even the coroner came out, like he was interviewed, and they asked him, you know, like how does this impact the investigation? And he was like, this impacts everything. Like I can't really do much. Like I can't tell you why, or not why, when he died, like how he died. Like I can't do much. And then he also called out how, you know, the scene wasn't handled properly either. So like he couldn't even get like evidence and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot. So that also did factor into why the death was ruled so quickly as an accident, was because he had nothing else to go off on, because he didn't have a chance to, you know, get in there right away and try to gather so much. But that's all the stuff that the anonymous video called out within that 10 minutes. The biggest claim that they made in their video was that other Black students at the school were told that they could not be interviewed by law enforcement or they risk losing their graduation. Yeah, and I couldn't find any like paper trail of that, no other reports, but the anonymous video, that's what they had said.
That's what they had said.
Yeah. As far as I know, I don't think that they were able to get any like missing footage or anything like that. It was just a video that got, you know, Kendrick's case more attention, basically. But yeah. So there actually is recent updates, whatever, for this case. So in January of 2021, his case was actually reopened. The only last report I found from 2024 was that it was still open, but I couldn't find anything else if they were still looking into everything. Yeah. And then in January of this year, the parents filed for a lift of the stay order, which was the two lawsuits that they couldn't pursue any further until after the Department of Justice got involved. They wanted to file to lift that, and they did have the new evidence that they put in there that I think it was a third autopsy that they found like marks on his shoulders and like his stomach that suggested that his body was pushed into the center of the mat,
kind of like
scratches, or something like that. That basically like he was forcefully pushed into that small opening.
I mean, you would think that would be the most logical answer if the thing was 14 inches and his torso was 19 inches wide. Like you.
But yeah, and then in March of 2026, I couldn't find the initial lawsuit, but there was a $1 billion lawsuit that was dismissed by the court, that the family has already filed an appeal for. So they had that lawsuit, I believe it was against the school again, like the school district and stuff. But yeah, so that was dismissed because they found that they didn't have like enough evidence basically to support that lawsuit. So the family already did an appeal for it, and that's pretty much where we are with that case. As far as I know, it's still open. The family's still fighting for Kendrick's case to get justice. Technically, his case was solved, but a lot of the evidence to suggest that other things happened that
Right.
weren't
Like there was
properly
foul
reported.
play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. Any last comments?
That was a lot.
Yeah.
Still hung up on his organs.
Yeah.
Where are
I
his
was
organs?
too. Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of different things where
Because
just
organs
like,
would show signs of being beaten.
Mm-hmm.
Organs would be able to show that, but we can't test that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, I don't believe, I don't know, I don't trust the first autopsy, even with them testing the organs. I don't trust it because they ruled it an accidental death. Like I don't.
Well, and the coroner said it was so late by the time they called him there, and I'm not sure how long they typically keep bodies at a crime scene, but I'm going to imagine they try to get them out of there and on ice. I would imagine about as fast as possible.
Yeah, it's a lot because like the way the case is set up, you don't really know what happened, but you know it's not an accident type of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
it's definitely not an accident.
definitely
Yeah.
not. There's no way that, I don't know, I keep thinking about the opening of the mat itself, even if, you know, his body was like laid out and then rolled into the mat would still be 19 inches wide because they rolled him into it, you know?
14 inches. His shoulders were 19 inches.
Yeah, but if he was like rolled into the mat, like if you know, like, I don't know, I guess a theory, if he was rolled into the mat, like the mat was laid out and his body was rolled into it, it would be 19 inches, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
I get what you're saying.
with it being 14 inches, I just don't see how he fit.
Yeah, because they measured it with him in it, like after they found him.
Yeah. Without him being like forced in there. And I don't think you would have the power yourself to stuff yourself in to a mat that's 5 inches.
Yeah, I feel like if you tried to do that, like you would dislocate a shoulder or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, because he was, as they were saying it, he was looking down into it, so his legs were in the air, so he doesn't have anything to push against.
Yeah.
His arms are stuck like this; he can't move.
And I mean,
how would he get himself further down?
Gravity plays a part, but I don't think gravity would play that big of a part.
Yeah,
No.
like gravity doesn't have enough energy to like pull you through
like,
a
suck
small
you in essentially.
spot. Yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, but that is the case of Kendrick Johnson. Yeah.
Go check out all the documentaries.
If you guys want to see like the pictures and everything, you can search for it online yourselves. There's a lot of like I said, the family released them themselves, so you're able to look at them without, you know, feeling like it was leaked somehow because they did post them themselves. There's videos, interviews, and everything on YouTube everywhere, but definitely recommend looking into it if you are interested in learning more about the case.
At least the one that you showed there, that one was very graphic.
Yeah,
so just
full warning. Yeah,
just be really careful.
They're very, very graphic.
Sending prayers to his family though.
Yeah.
You know, it's been 2013 was
13 years.
It's been 13 years.
And they don't have essentially an answer.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I hope, you know, I hope that they win these lawsuits, not that money, you know, will bring back their son or something, but I don't know, I hope that it does get solved eventually.
Yeah. For sure, I hope they win the lawsuit for how badly the case was handled.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's probably the biggest reason they may never get an answer is because they mishandled that so bad.
Yeah. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't have any words.
Yeah.
I guess if there's any updates, we'll keep y'all updated.
Yeah.
which there might be since there was just an update literally this month.
Yeah.
No.
So
Thanks for watching the Unofficial Throuple podcast. Catch us next week for an all new episode.
Like, comment, and subscribe for more videos.
let us know what you thought about the case, and then I'll link everything down below.
Bye.
Bye.